All right, I'm in my room in Nagpur at Mission India headquarters, and it was quite a journey to get here. So I took off at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday night in Minneapolis and flew 8 hours direct to Amsterdam. That was a little bit of a tough flight. Got in at about 10 a.m. Amsterdam time, and I had a regular economy, too big for regular economy, but I did it, and I was hurting. We got to Amsterdam, which was an interesting city flying over, looking at it. Very flat. Looks like it's about to flood at any given moment. There's ponds and locks and all kinds of stuff all over the place. Got off the airplane, and very interesting. In Amsterdam, there was a Mont Blanc store, a Rolex store, an Hermes store, a Gucci store, a Louis Vuitton store, literally right off where I got off the plane. And it was very high-end luxury type airport. I found a place to get a massage. So I got a chair massage for 20 minutes because, man, my back and neck were killing me, and that helped. It was really actually very, very good. And I only had about that much time to then go and board my flight to Mumbai. So I had an hour and a half layover there. We left at 11:30, would have been Wednesday morning, and landed in Mumbai at about 12:30 at night. So just past midnight on Mumbai time. That flight was amazing. I got a bulkhead row, had this much space, and the flight was about 40% full. So in our whole row, which was a 2-4-2 row, it was just me and one other person. This gal from Chile, who had flown from Chile to Argentina to Amsterdam and was flying to Mumbai, was kind of fun because I got to speak Spanish, which is the only other language that I speak. And yet we're going to India, and we're just in the Netherlands, where I don't speak Hindi, I don't speak Dutch. So we get to talk in Spanish a little bit. But yeah, that flight was just fine. So like I said, I got into Mumbai just after midnight, and then we had to go through customs. And here's where I made my first big mistake. Got to go right up to the line, right up front. But the problem was I didn't have any cell phone reception. And there was internet, Wi-Fi internet, but to get on the internet, you had to get texted a code to enter the code to get on the internet. And since I didn't get cell phone reception, I couldn't get the code, which is fine, except for they wanted my boarding, my flight number and my boarding pass from my flight number. And I didn't have that because it was on my phone in my Delta app. And all I had was the Delta flight number, but it wasn't the Delta flight. It was a KLM flight that I bought through Delta. So when I gave them the Delta flight number, they thought it was fake. My visa was an e-visa, and thankfully I had copied it out of my email because I couldn't have gotten into my email, and I had it in a notes file. So I had to give them my phone, which it's always a little concerning when you pass that through the glass along with your passport. And yeah, they wouldn't stamp it. And so the guy went to a couple other stations to ask, and finally he was like, okay, it was that flight number? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that doesn't exist. But he starts filling everything out. He's like, all right, scan your fingers. So I scan my fingers. About 20 minutes later, I get to walk through the gates, hand me the passport and everything back. I'm like, yes. So I walk through, and I'm just about to start walking through to do the bag check. And he comes over and says, can I have your passport? And I'm like, yes, sir. Here you go. So I give him my passport, and he walks off, and he walks towards the station chief. And I'm following him, and I'm like, this is when I go to the back room, and this is not good. And so ultimately they decided to let me go. I told them, I looked up at the board and saw what the KLM flight number was and told them that. And so that was apparently good enough for them. In hindsight, if I was actually trying to sneak into the country, I could have just picked a random number off the board and told them that, but whatever. They let me go, thank God. And I tried to pack light for this trip. So this whole time, the walk from the plane to customs was well over a mile. And I have about a 40-pound backpack on my back and another 40-pound backpack on my front. So I've got my turtle shell going on, an extra 80 pounds walking through there. One of them, I had a few backpacks in and a bunch of my books because I'm going to have an opportunity to speak a lot in this. So got in, got through customs, finally got to, there's a hotel inside of the Mumbai airport, and I went in there and rented a room for the morning, I guess, which was really, really nice hotel. And so I got in there, took a shower, laid down. Finally, it's about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm laying down, and my flight, I have to get on a shuttle at 8:45 for the flight. And so I'm like, I do not want to fall asleep and not wake up. And so I'm laying there, didn't take a sleeping pill because I didn't want to sleep through any alarms. And there's just noise because you're in the airport and you can hear everybody walking by and checking into their rooms. And so finally, like, you know what, I'm gonna put my earplugs in. So I put my earplugs in, but I left my phone on my bed so I'd feel it vibrate when the alarm went off. And someone called me at 6 a.m. And so I got about 2.5 hours of sleep. Woke up and I'm like, you know what, that's fine. So I went to breakfast. Got on the shuttle early, had to go to another part of the airport, which was about a 20-minute shuttle ride on a very interesting bus. Drove through part of Mumbai and then got to the next airport, and there I waited for a couple hours. So I got myself in trouble because I went to a coffee shop and ordered an iced coffee because it was hot, and started drinking it. I realized I'm not supposed to drink anything with ice in it because the water may not be purified. So far so good, but if you don't ever see me again, it's because I'm still on the toilet from the ice I ate. Had that iced coffee, waited, and this time we had a very interesting airplane experience because there's not an actual jetway up to the airplane. And I mean, I've several times before had to walk out and walk upstairs to go on to the plane, but this you actually walked out to a bus. So one of the buses where you like hold on to the thing, and remember I got my turtle shell backpack on, and the bus goes out, and then it goes out on the tarmac, and it drives and drives and drives and drives and drives. We drive for like 7 minutes past all these planes. Finally, we come to our airplane, and you can see them waving and saying they're not ready yet. And so there are 100 of us on a bus made for 40 people, and it's 90 degrees. The whole thing is glass. The sun is coming in just like this, and we sat there and baked for 15 minutes until they let us on the plane. Finally, they opened it up, and I realized I'm not aggressive enough to get on airplanes or really get in any lines in India. And this is also the first time that I noticed that I'm the only white guy. In fact, as I recall, I was the only white guy I had seen after I got through customs in Mumbai, on the bus or the shuttle ride over, the entire time on the other terminal, and on this entire plane, and basically all the way until now, which is super cool. So we fly into Nagpur. It was just a quick hour flight, and finally I landed. We were a little bit late. Landed at 1:30 Nagpur time, which I think if I added all of that up, it was about 31 hours to get there. So I don't know if I would do that again. I might pack everything tighter. I'm not sure how I would do it again. It wasn't that bad. Then I got picked up at the airport by my new friend Vinu, who works for Mission India, and came to the campus here in India, and they're having a conference for 1,500 youth right now. And so I got here, and through the week I had been told, you know, hey Steve, will you speak at this? Will you speak at that? Will you speak at this? And I'm like, I'm sure, I don't know. And all I knew, I was doing a lot of speaking. And so all throughout today, I would have different Indian men walk up to me and show me their phone with a WhatsApp copy and paste of what the founder Saji had sent them, saying, this is Steve Perry, and I want him to speak on this for your people at your event. And so they would show that to me, and they'd be like, let's talk about when you're speaking. And so when I got here, I thought I had about a 20-minute talk I was doing, and it turns out as of tonight, which it's 11:30 at night right now, I'm speaking tomorrow for 20 minutes to about 1,500 people. Tomorrow's Friday. On Saturday, I'm speaking to 125 doctors in town at a hospital, as well as some of the government officials. Then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I am teaching from 8:30 until 1 p.m. to some master's level students. So I'm going to be teaching on my book, the one backpack I brought. I brought about 25 of my books with me, so I'll be able to give a few of those out. We're going to talk about the capacity model, how to build their best life, and it'll be very fun because I'm going to get to tailor it to a few different groups of people teaching the same message, but with different emphasis. So I'm very, very excited about that. It was quite an experience tonight. We had worship. We had a few different preachers preach. We had nearly 100 people accept Christ as their Savior. And then we had a couple people who were demon possessed, and those demons trying to make a show tonight. So it was quite an experience, but man, it was incredible. It's kind of cute. I'm the only, well, there's 4 other white people here. One of them is also on the board with me, and then his wife, and then another pastor. But I've probably taken about 30 photos so far and had several hundred people come up and introduce myself. And they're so lovely. They're so sweet. All of them, their greeting is praise the Lord. And they're from all over India, and we just take pictures. It's been an amazing time, amazing so far. I'm super excited for the rest of my trip, which apparently is going to be a lot of speaking. Thank you for joining and listening. Love you guys. Have an incredible night.